Goal. No, not that kind of goal. Today we are talking about goals, but not the European soccer football kind that they have all the fun around. I'm here to talk with you about personal goals. It's kind of still the beginning of the year, and this is a time traditionally people think about setting up goals. What happens often though is the goals are kind of general or generic, or they're not really thinking about the pieces of the components of achieving that goal, or even some of the reasons why. So there's about 8 categories of goals today. I'm going to walk you through. We'll talk about the overarching goal and maybe some components of that goal that might be a better way for you to make progress on your goals this year. So being a financial advisor, I'm going to start with the money-oriented goals. First one is retirement. I want to be able to retire. That's a really good goal. I want to save for retirement. Those are good goals, but they lack specificity. And if you aren't specific about what you're trying to do, it's really hard to know if you've managed to do it. If you don't know where you're going, how do you know if you got there? So when I talk with folks about retirement goals, we talk about things like, when do you want to retire? Do you want to make it earlier or later than usual, whatever that might look like? Or do you want to just maybe work part-time, semi-retire, sort of a glide path into retirement? That's cool. Maybe you're somebody who is in an industry that allows you to take sabbaticals during your career. That would be cool. How does that look? How does that play into life for you? Do you want to feel confident about your retirement goals? That's a really great goal, is to achieve that confidence that you're on the right track. And the really important one is, do you want to change where you live when you retire? So retirement goals aren't just about the retiring per se, but the details around it. What's that lifestyle that you want to have? Close to grandkids or far away from grandkids? No one would do that. Grandkids are amazing. So that's the retirement piece. So that's kind of number one. I'll lose count, so bear with me. Family goals around your family. If a younger family, you might want to have or adopt a child. If you've already got kiddos, maybe you're looking to save for somebody's college education or a different relative's education. Maybe other milestones, bar and bat mitzvahs, graduations, weddings. Those can all be very expensive things and deserve planning. They're very important events. Maybe there's a family member that requires some more help that you'd like to help. They've got special needs of some sort. Or your parents are going to need your help. Here's one that's near and dear to my heart. Are you going to change your marital status? We work with newlyweds quite a bit, present company included. So family goals can run the gamut of adding to a family, sometimes planning for a divorce. And that's probably not a New Year's goal, but it kind of falls in this category. A third area is self-development, professional goals. Achieving financial independence can fall here. It's not necessarily retirement related, but professionally, it's critical. For your profession, do you need to pursue more education to achieve the status in your profession that you desire? Do you need to get that master's, that MBA, that PhD even? Are you looking for professional advancement? Perhaps it's a certification that's going to be critical. And on a more mundane note, are you optimizing the benefits that your employer offers, looking at your employment benefit package? Or the really big one, the big elephant in the room, the big COVID thing is, do you want to start your own business? Those are professional goals that might be relevant for you. Now, back to the money stuff. How about assets and debt? Are your investments invested in a way that serve you? Do you want to increase market risk and potentially increase return? Maybe you want to reduce the market risk of your portfolio. Maybe cash flow needs to adjust, particularly as you shift from accumulation while you're working to retirement when you're going to draw money out. Creating cash flow is going to be critical. That can be an important goal depending on what's happening in your world. Maybe you want to build up your emergency fund. Boy, after the time we've had recently, I bet a lot of folks are considering that as a great goal for the year. I heartily endorse it. Maybe you want to save more because you don't want to work quite as long, or you want to ensure your standard of living in the future. And make sure you're protecting your properties from risk. Homeowners insurance, for example, if something should happen, it's a shared burden across all the owners of homeowners insurance. There's insurance for just about any risk you can identify. Then we come to debt. Do you have any loans you want to pay off that makes sense? Student loans, lots of things happening in the student loan world. Is paying that one off a hot button for you? Simultaneously are refinances. If you own a home and you have a mortgage, check and see if refinancing makes sense. And maybe you're in a place where you can consider a second home or vacation property. That's a wonderful goal. Love seeing that as a goal for folks. So that's kind of the asset and debt world. Sorry, folks. Now, let's talk about lifestyle goals. And when I talk about that, it's like, are you living where you want to live? You want to stay there forever, age in place? Maybe you want to live somewhere else, or maybe you want a second home somewhere else. Or maybe where you live is good, but it needs to change a little bit to accommodate whatever's important to you. I like to make sure that wherever folks are going to live into retirement is age in place adaptable or adapted, so that it's going to be easy for that future you to live a full life. And that planning that large vacation, maybe you've got a once in a lifetime vacation coming up at some point that you want to plan for. That would be awesome. Now, it's all predicated upon being able to travel. We're all looking forward to it. Okay, so that's lifestyle goals. Tax planning goals. Now, here's one most folks don't necessarily put on their New Year's resolution list, but tax planning goals can be really important, especially if there's liquidity events. If you're stock options, or you're selling your company, or whatever you might be doing, what are you doing? Do you want to reduce your tax liability now, or maybe reducing your tax liability in the future makes more sense for you? Related to tax planning, maybe there's a charity that's near and dear to your heart that you'd like to support. That can actually really impact your tax planning. And then finally, are you planning to sell a large investment, a business, real estate, or something big in your world? How can you plan around those taxes to maximize the cash to you into your pocket? Estate planning kind of comes into that charity, but perhaps closer to home. Think about, what do you want your legacy to be? That's where this goal really comes from, I think, from the heart. When I'm not on this planet, what impact will I want to have had? When I look back on my life, what impact will I want to have had? We can do that through our actions, our words, of course, but we can also do it through the resources that we've acquired. So your money or your investments. So do you want to provide gifts to your children and loved ones during your lifetime or at death? Do you want to protect assets from creditors, bankruptcy, or divorce? Those are things that you can do. That's a good goal, especially if you're going to get married. It's important to understand how the assets can be affected by being married. Prenups are perfectly romantic. When you have important people around you, make sure, one of those goals is to have people that know about you and care about you enough to carry out your wishes if they're called upon to be a fiduciary, power of attorney, executor, that kind of thing. And part of the estate planning, you want to make sure that things are easy when you pass, that your estate can be handled easily. I think that's a really cool goal. Again, not one I've seen on many people's lists, but boy, I'd love to see that one there. Finally, a less money-oriented one, or at least I think so, and that's health. What are we doing about our health these days? Now, again, financial planner talking here. There's money elements to this, making sure that you have a plan for disability, long-term care expenses, future medical expenses, but also, how are you living your life right now? Are you using food as fuel, or food as entertainment or diversion or distraction? Are you taking care of the body that you have, exercising in a way that makes sense for you? Are you living in a place, back to where you live, that suits you? If you're a swimmer and you have no access to water, maybe you're not living in the right place. If you're a hiker and you're someplace that doesn't have a lot of hiking opportunities, maybe you're not living in the right place. Or maybe you're like me and I could go do both of those and don't necessarily get out and take advantage of those wonderful opportunities. So that should probably go on my goal list for the year. So that's my ideas on goals. There's great umbrella goals, but really drilling down and thinking about the pieces that make up those goals and maybe picking the smaller bites, much easier to achieve, can help you over time make gains on those bigger goals. Thanks for joining me today. This is Dee Dee Jones with Innovative Financial, talking about goals and helping you get mastery with your money. Have a great day.